Hey everybody, welcome back to Springrealms here on the wonderful Patron server. So if you happen to like what you're about to see, then you might want to hop over to patreon.com/lying to enjoy what's coming up this month. So, I am currently stood at the third dungeon, which is currently in development, and actually I'm kind of stuck on a mock version of it. Let's take a look at the full thing right now. So, there's the mock version, our little guide to what it should be. And here it is, full scale. Still got some piece to go. Don't worry about the stained glass. That's just a guide for us builders. So we've now got the area terraformed. We've now got all of the sections for structures set up, and we've got the paths set up as well. So there'll be structures at ends of these. There'll be things in the way of a few of them. This area here is where we will have the actual boss, but what we are talking about today is enemy design, because we've got this big open area, and we want to try and have motion in straight lines-ish across the area to be as uninterrupted as possible. This is a dungeon without walls, but doing so, firstly, makes this area huge, and secondly, greatly reduces the inherent difficulty of the zone. For example, let's just say I've got this group of creepers right there. Creepers are the most common enemy of this dungeon, and I can just run right past them because they can't keep up with me sprinting. I'm not even using anything that would increase my speed at all. So, to do the manner of sort of creating a psychological barrier, or a mental wall, if you will, we need to have some special creepers. And the reason that I can run across here and run right past these guys is because I can see them. So, the main way that we're going to be having our friends the creepers be special here is that they need to be stealthy. They need to have special qualities that make it so that charging them or charging into an area that might have them is sufficiently dangerous. So, with that, we begin with this guy, the Stalker Creeper. Now, they're fairly straightforward. They don't have any more bonus HP. They have the same amount of health as your regular creeper. And if I grab myself an iron sword, we can pretty much demonstrate that. So, 3 hits, down. No muss, no fuss. These guys obviously don't have any kind of AI because they are purely for a demonstration right now. But we'll notice this: they are slow. They have your standard creeper has a 0.25d movement speed, whereas these guys only have a 0.15. They are approximately just under about 50% slower than your standard creeper. Okay, that makes them easier to avoid, right? Yeah, easy. Now, we remember my last demonstration over here when Aeneas was around, of how evil is this dear god? No. And this turns all creepers in the area completely invisible. The region flags are set up so that I only get creepers spawning around here, which is why we're only seeing them. So that seemed pretty evil. And people in the comments and people on the server were understandably concerned that they would charge into here and all the creepers would be completely invisible, which has this nice sort of stealth quality to it. But here's the improved version. So, with this running, all of the Stalker Creepers, specifically the Stalker Creepers, we can see they do actually have a specific tag here, Creep Stalker, are now checking for 2 kinds of block, either directly beneath them or at their feet. And those particular blocks, let me just grab some stuff here, are grass, either at their feet, probably at their feet because it's a solid block, or vines. When they have the vines, when they have the vines or the grass, they are completely invisible. Now, that means that if they're on these roadways, you'll see these roadways are still heavily grass, but they've also got these pieces of coarse dirt, cobblestone, mossy cobblestone, 2 different kinds of stained hardened clay. If they're on these roads, they're going to be flickering in and out at best, and they're fairly slow as well, so they're going to be moving across this area, and they'll have large portions of time where you'll be able to see them. And remember, they don't have any more health. But if they're over on this area, they're going to be invisible basically all of the time. The bulk of the dungeon is vines and grass, so consequently, the stalker creepers are what is going to make you worried to leave the path, to go across all of this big open terrain, because you can't see them. You are quite probably running towards them. I slightly wish that I could make their detection range for when they go into, like, explosions wider, so you pay a bit more attention there, but that's about as good as I can do. So, that is the improvement over the fully 100% invisible creepers that we had last time. Now, there's sort of, like, a thing here. All of the enemies in this dungeon are pretty much built around creepers. I did consider having some kind of Ent, kind of garden guardian kind of type built on an iron golem or something. But the trouble there is I can only modify attributes, and I can create special effects with tags and all that, but I can't in any way alter their AI. So I pretty much have to deal with what I've got, and unfortunately there isn't really anything reasonable that I could use for some kind of Ent creature or tree-like creature. The closest might be the Iron Golem, but the Iron Golem can't be forced to be hostile, and it will not attack the creepers, so if it's some kind of guardian, it's not doing very well at all. And that also raises the question of why would a guardian of this particular garden, or what would we call this? This sort of Eden-like area, be hostile to players? On the basis that they're here, if anything, to purify it, so they're here to make it better. And also, they wouldn't have any knowledge of what a red maker is, because they're freshly new. So it doesn't make sense to have them. I'd love to have them, but we just don't have any options. Honestly, one of the first things I was hoping to have for the boss was a giant, but giants have no AI whatsoever. So that's an unfortunate thing. I can't even have them, like, display armor pieces anymore, which is a real shame, but what you gonna do? So, to demonstrate what the descendant that you're seeing there is, let's go up here a quick second. So here at the center, we have this sort of big plant bulb. And this is your boss room. Now, this is the only area that you can't really dig through. If I can handle it, I want to have this whole place be able to be virtually completely destructible. So, for example, if enough creepers go off in one location, it will open to the void. Because that's sort of my continuing quest. It's sort of a persistent, rejuvenating, but destructible, crucially, dungeon design. And this seems like a really great place to sort of showcase that. So, this is the only place, this bulb here in the center, that you can't tunnel directly through. And inside of there is a fresh creeper. The creeper, if you will. Because the story of this place, if you have forgotten, is that originally Erinus created creepers by infusing vines with a soul, with a spirit that Akinum had made in the Spring of Souls. And that created these massive overgrowing vines that sort of torn the area apart. And at the center is this bulb, from which there is basically the last original creeper. And the creepers that we see in the world today are vastly down the evolutionary ladder from them. So the creep stalkers, these like stalkers over here, are closer than your standard creeper, but they're not anywhere close still. The descendants, on the other hand, are maybe 5 or 6 generations removed. So they have a much wider follow radius. They are faster. These have a, I think it's 0.35, is it? Speed? Yeah, 0.35 speed. So they're 50% faster than your standard creeper. And they have the same health as an Enderman at 40. Now, the difference is that unlike the stalkers, they don't go invisible. In fact, they have this, like, nice clear name directly above their heads. And there is only a handful of these guys at any given time, but what they do is that they have a special loot table. And inside of that loot table is a creeper head, a very special creeper head. If you are wearing that creeper head, along with a number of other items that you can find around the dungeon, basically a full armor set, then you are, as far as the bulb is concerned anyways, a creeper. So you walk up to the creeper in the full armor set, and you get teleported inside, and the armor gets stripped off you. And otherwise, you can't actually, you can't actually enter this at all. So it's sort of like you are collecting pieces of creepers from around this this entire garden that has been overrun by this voracious and incredibly potent strain of creeper vine, in order for it to sufficiently recognize you as a creeper so that you can actually get to the core and presumably immolate it. I don't quite know yet. But that's where we come up to the boss creeper. Now, the obvious thing here is that it just lets off tons of explosions, but that's... I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking there might be some special things that I can do. I've taken to using the World Guard flags to sort of adjust how things run inside of dungeons. So for example, here we have only creepers able to spawn. In fact, I can show that off. So region, info. So in here, pigs, cows, spiders, sheep, skeletons, zombies, witches, horses, chickens, and endermen can't spawn. Which pretty much just leaves creepers. Pretty much. So if I use those flags creatively, I can actually change how gameplay runs along inside of the actual area down here. So there's that. I can also apply various status effects. I've been toying on the server so far with shields, the different dungeon shields. I'm currently the shield for this area, the Shield of Erinus, just gives you a speed buff. You might think it would give you invisibility, but that's really more Tronicus' kind of thing. There is like a pair of boots, I forget what they're called, on World of Madness that like grow as plants in your vicinity, and I really would like to try that, but I have no idea how the command blocks for that one work. I'm going to try and figure those out, or have a peek. But yeah, I can do a bunch of fun effects with the creepers. It might be that like literally one of its attacks is it just spews out a few TNT in different locations or areas, that kind of thing. But that's what we'll be getting to work on next time, I believe. In the meantime, I have a sort of hit list of things to do here, so I need to install the tree bordering, which is basically defining the boundaries of the actual dungeon. I need to shatter it to create those two floating sections that you see there. I need to add the structures, so the tower, the greenhouse, that kind of thing, and then I need to add the spawners and various special effects as well. And then we should be pretty much ready to go. One thing, just before I close up, I think, is this particular bulb here. You can't dig through it, and once you're in it, you're in there pretty much for good until you actually like kill the boss. I was thinking, given that we have sort of wised up on how to use structures, and we now know exactly the area, I might have two different structures, like two different structure files for this central area where the bulb is. So you've got one that's there when the boss is alive, when it respawns, and there's one that's there as long as the boss isn't there. So it's sort of like a blown open version of the bulb, like it's been destroyed and it's dying or something. But then of course, you wouldn't expect these particular spores to be that ready to fall over and die, would you? I mean, after all, they've survived millennia, and the only reason that they didn't settle here was Erinus was around. Hell. But other than that, we have a little bit of stuff going on in the bedrock box. So if we come down here, we'll notice it is quite a bit larger now. We have a fair bit more space here. Because two things have been added to this so far, and I need a bit more room to expand on them. So here we have gateways. So one of the big things that is problematic for people right now is that traveling from A to B can take a lot of time, even in Spirit Mode, unless there's somebody there. And additionally, the solution that people have currently come up with for that is... It's a reasonable solution, I have to say. I mean, it's not like I would begrudge them for doing this, but it's a little bit of an eyesore. So over here we have the original buildway that was made towards the Dungeon of Basilla, the Corrupted Fortress. Over here we have another one that I think this one just goes towards the first iron resource island down that way. And we have over here another one which I've sort of christened. This one I've sort of officialized, like, which is the Grand North Highway. And that leads over to the home island of Basilla, as well as what is affectionately known as Eggville, which is an entirely man-made island over there, although it's very flat. But it's nice. Good work, Dreadlord Mr. Sun, who I think is online, yes. But yeah, people make these big spanning bridges, and I know why they do it. but it's a little bit... It doesn't quite work with the rest of the aesthetic of the world, I think. So it'd be much nicer if we could have access to a means of travelling various long distances that is superior, both to building the big, long roads, as well as faster and cheaper and easier and whatnot. Just superior in general, basically. So what we've currently got going is these gateways. I've only got 3 of these wired up just yet, but they are wired to the same exact coordinates that's in this line, so it doesn't take me very long to add them. And basically, let me see. I'm trying to think which is the easiest one for me to go to. Let's go to Moribocus. That'll work. Okay, so if I come over here, over here's a nice flat area. Moribocus is full of flat space for the most part. So /summon armor stand. These will come with actual custom names, but we'll just leave them out for the moment. So we want gate start, and we want gate Moriboka. And we want to spawn that, say, half a block higher than me, so there. And I apparently have got that the wrong way around. Did portal start? I can't honestly remember. Let's find out. I was doing this like... Nope, I have messed something up. Okay, let's head back and see what I've messed up. Nice little bit of demonstration about why I spend so much time tinkering, I guess. Okay, so... it's warp. That's why I got it wrong. Okay. Figures, the one thing I had yet to try. Okay, so let's just do that from here then. With it, Erinus, the land of lots and lots of animals, because there's basically nothing that isn't grass on the surface here. Okay. So what we want is warp Erinus and warp start. And I'm doing this here because it'll teleport me to like 5 meters away. Okay. So we summoned an object and it immediately teleported me over to here. So this is... I apparently grabbed some XP. Okay, this is a gateway, and it teleports you to the waters of a given home island. Now, it does need to know exactly where it's supposed to be going, so it's got, in this case, the tag of Warp Erinus, so it takes you to the Erinus one, which is why I need a special block for each single one to know exactly what those coordinates are. But it is a temporary thing. We'll see it start smoking in a bit, but this will also teleport items, so if I... Yep, teleported that piece of redstone. Oop, and it's starting to smoke. We can see that it's going to go away eventually. Give it a moment. There we go. So it's a temporary portal that can teleport players, animals, items of all sorts to the spring waters of a given home island. And it is raining, so I don't think we like that, but let's go to spawn where weather is turned off. So basically, that allows me to summon an armor stand that works as a portal, a warp, a gateway to a given location, and that combines with with the next thing I'm going to be talking about in a second, to allow us to transport livestock, which is a first more or less on this server, as well as players quickly and cheaply between vast distances. So Bacilla and Erinus, for example, are thousands of blocks apart. But I can actually warp there quite easily that way. And that then ties in with this section. So we currently have just the one of them, but this is a spell casting system. And basically what will happen is we'll have a spell for summoning each different gateway. You'll pay a certain volume of your spirit, and you'll have to wait a certain time to cast another spell after that. But it will create a temporary gateway with a reasonable lifetime, as we saw, that will teleport you there cleanly and instantly. Looks beautiful. Currently, the only spell we have is Fallen Down, but if we look here, I have a cast Fallen Down book, call down an all-destroying plume of lightning. So, gives us a description, gives us how much spirit we need, tells us how many ticks of cooldown there are. In this case, it is 8,000 spirit and an entire in-game day to cast any other spell, not just this one. And then we click that, it triggers this spell, this like scoreboard value. By using this, we can actually allow players to use various scoreboard values, and there is actually a backfire system if you happen to try and cast a spell by cheating it with the slash trigger. But yeah, that just enables people to cast that all the time, and then that sets it to a certain value. Usually it's just 1, because most spells only have a single effect, so this just sets it to 1, but Summon Lightning, for example, might have 4 different values for different directions. And then, when you have a score that is not 0, this line here tries to identify what spell you are casting, and whether or not you actually can cast it. So in this case, it is telling us that your magical ability is weary from recent use, and that's how many ticks remaining are left. So that's what happens if you try and cast a spell before you can actually cast a spell again. And then this is the first time that we try and identify a spell, so it's just checking for everybody with a score of cast spell, which is not 0. And this one adds falling down if you are holding a book with the correct lore text. These are tattered books, which means they can't be cloned, which is crucial because they will be available as loot items in the 4th dungeon, as well as a few more after that. I'm planning on having as many spells as I can available on launch of that dungeon as I can, but that will include Fallen Down. And this is a bit of a massive spell. You can tell by the fact that it takes a day to be able to cast any magic afterwards, and how much spirit it takes. But whew, this thing will kill almost anything. It doesn't hurt bosses, but it does hurt basically everything else, including players. So that's fun. But then you come through all of this line. So this just targets everybody with cast Fallen Down who doesn't have enough spirit. They take instant damage 10, and then we take out their Fallen Down just so we don't do anything else. So basically, the fumble system is if you try and cast a spell you can't cast, and you are not simply out of, like, inside of your cooldown, you die. Straight up, you die, pretty much. So otherwise, you say the magic words, and then all of these spell effects happen. I think 3 of these are summoning lightning at everyone's position within 16 blocks, and then giving them effects, and oh boy, then paying the cost, and setting a cooldown, and then just finishing up. So very straightforward system, very expandable, very easy to add new spells, and a number of them are to spawn these gateways, which will be much cheaper than that, but phew. So yeah, that's what's been going on over here on Springrealms, and I have still quite a bit more work to do over here, so yeah. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be an interesting dungeon to see people going on. Hoo-hoo. But, with that in mind, I hope you've enjoyed. This has been Springrealms. I've been lying a bit more, and I shall catch you all next time.